I see this a lot on my YouTube algorithm. I see videos titled something like, I don't want to work a 9 to 5 job, or working a 9 to 5 job is soul sucking, or something like, why it's not worth it working a 9 to 5 job anymore. And I'm gonna give kind of my opinions on what I think about it. I think for sure there's a massive problem going on right now where the wages just aren't paying enough and they're not keeping up. Right, the dollar is not worth as much as it used to be. And now that people are realizing that these wages are super low, and they see that, they feel like no matter how hard they work is not going to matter. So instead of working a regular, maybe 9 to 5 job, they're thinking of pursuing their dreams instead, because it would be more. It's a risk that kind of, I guess, makes sense in the current situation that we're in economically. I'm not from Canada. I'm not too sure where some of you guys are from. I believe I looked at my viewer statistics, and it showed that like some of you guys are from like Europe, some of you from the West, some of you guys are from like Asia countries, so all over, which I was very surprised. Um, but I would say, if that is something that you want to do, you're not really too interested in working 9 to 5, and you want to chase your dreams, wherever that is, becoming like a singer, become an actor, become an athlete. Maybe you want to become an entrepreneur. You want to become self-employed. It is quite a bit of work. And one interesting thing is social media. It likes to only show the good side, right? It doesn't really show you the struggles of of how people got to where they were. Some people will show you the struggles, but for the most part, in my opinion, you don't really see that. And it's a lot of work. Is not as easy. You'd be very surprised, even something like a video game, the amount of hours that you actually have to like put in into becoming like really good at a video game. It's actually very, very surprising. You'd be very surprised that these guys or people, whoever players, they're putting they're it's like a full-time job to them, right? Even though some people say it's not a real job because it's a video game, right? Which is fair, right? But they're putting probably like 8-10 hours a day doing that as well, and just like trying to become a entrepreneur. Like a lot of people say that with how people are struggling to find a job, if you're struggling to find a job, just become like a CEO, just start your own business, just become self-employed. But it's actually not that easy. And for sure, we could use more businesses. We could use more entrepreneurs, right? Because right now, we got just not a whole lot of competition when it comes to the market in terms of the companies and stuff like that competing. So if we do have more companies that can create more employers and create more job opportunities for more people, and that's kind of what we need in this current country, right? Canada is lacking that a lot. I'm not too sure what it's like in the States, but I think this is happening all over the world, where people are just struggling in general to find jobs and opportunities. But that's probably what I would say. Another thing as well is, if you are going to chase your passion or dream, whatever that is, really make sure that you go all out. Make sure that you really put 100% into it, because it really matters. And one, I guess, one interesting thing that I thought about as well is because of this new hobby that I'm trying to get into, which is boxing, is, in the future I want to do sparring, right? So, my coach told me, he's like, when you can, buy a mouthpiece, right? Because the sooner that I can buy a mouthpiece, the sooner I can start practicing defense, right? Because right now I'm just practicing offense. But when you're use an analogy of boxing, when you're stepping into the ring, and let's say you have a fight coming up, right? You're preparing for like an amateur fight or something like that, right? You're really going to, I'll say you wouldn't feel as nervous, although you probably will feel nervous regardless, but you'll feel confident going into it if you know that you're training on a consistent basis. So the person that trains twice every single week is not going to feel as comfortable, or not going to feel as good as it plays compared to the other fighter who's maybe training 6 days a week. But you don't really know that, right? And it's kind of the same way how, I was big into the gym, and I wanted to become like a bodybuilder, and all these guys, they spend a whole entire year just preparing for this one show, right? And it's very, very interesting, because you don't actually know, if you're stepping on that stage, you don't actually know the other opponents and these other guys, how hard they're training, and how many days they're training a day or going to the gym a day, and how hard they're dieting down, right? Sticking to their diets or following their plans that their coaches made for them. So that's the point that I'm making these videos. If you don't want to work like a regular 9 to 5 job, you want to follow your passion, your dream, whatever it is. It's going to be just as hard, maybe even harder. I'm not saying that to like scare anybody, but I'm just saying that you you got to take it seriously, and that's the reason why, even when it comes to like a lot of athletes or a lot of musicians, you'll hear how a lot of people that start like, I don't know, basketball, hockey, soccer, or trying to play some sort of instrument, they start at a very young age, right? So it's a big advantage to start very young, like as a kid or as a child, like 5 years old or something like that, right? And then they grow up and they become obsessed and they become really good at it. That's what you hear a lot most of the time. But I also think it's really important that just because you didn't start younger, you started kind of late, doesn't mean it's over for you, right? I went to the gym today, and there was this like old guy, or like older guy for sure. I think he looked like maybe above 70, right? Because I can tell because he has like white hair. But this guy was in like really good shape, and there's a lot of that. I see that a lot of times. I see these guys in the gym that are a bit older, and they're in phenomenal shape, right? So it's not like there's no like correct time to start something. Ideally, you want to, if you want to pursue something, you start younger. That gives you a massive advantage because you're kind of racing against time, right? But yeah, I just wanted to make this video because I felt kind of inspired seeing that. Um, but yeah, that's gonna do for me. I'll see you guys next time.